Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sarah Centrella Show. It's been a long time since I last put up a podcast, and I really just was waiting until I felt like I had something to say. I didn't want to just put out a podcast every single week because I should put out a podcast every single week. That isn't uh, how I operate. It just isn't. As much as I know I probably should follow all those rules, I just don't. That doesn't work for my soul and my spirit and my love of coaching. Um, and I've really been struggling lately in general. And so this show is going to be a very raw and vulnerable show because for the last 3 months, I've really been going through something incredibly difficult, and I've had a very hard time processing it, grieving it, and talking about it. And then on top of that, still having to show up on social media for my business, um, and, try to sell my new book that's coming out, which is a huge responsibility that I have that I absolutely, have to do. A lot is writing on that. Um, my book tour that is coming up with that as well, and the retreats that I have coming up next month. So all the pressure of that and the pressure of my business while in the background going through some pretty intense stuff. And so it's just been on my heart for a while now that I had to come on here and just get it get it out of me. I'm not sure yet even how to write about it, to be honest with you. I did write a 2 or 3 page, I guess, note from the author at the end of my upcoming book that is dedicated to my brother, and that helped a lot. But it's just been a lot. I've been going through a lot of grief and a lot of loss in the last 3 months that has been very life-changing, um, very unexpected, and just a lot to deal with. So I'll back up and I'll kind of start at the beginning. Um, June for me, this June of 2025 was always going to be a huge month. It was going to be a very exciting month. It was a month that I had written about in my life plan story 10 years ago, because it was a month that I turned 50. It was the month that my kids would be graduating both from high school and from college, and I would essentially become an empty nester. So it was the start of like a whole new life chapter for me, not just a decade like every other decade birthday had been, but a whole new life. Sorry, guys, I'm gonna really try to get through this. Um, so it was a month that I've been looking forward to with so much excitement. Uh, and I'd had my love, Anthony, who'd been in my life for over a year, almost a year and a half. And just to kind of go through all those big moments with him and him being around my family and getting to meet all of my extended family was just really, really special. And so we kicked off the month with my daughter's graduating, and that was great. And we had this beautiful dinner with the whole family. My brother and sister were there, their spouses and kids, and um, aunt was there with me and the kids, of course. And it was just this really, really beautiful night where I kind of like look over and I see my son, uh, and aunt and my brother, and brother-in-law just chopping it up, just talking, just having a great time, having a boys' time. And when we got home that night, my son Kanan said, "Ma, it was just so fun tonight to be able to have a glass of wine with the guys and just to be one of the guys." He's like, "That's the first time that's ever happened to me." He's like, "I'm no longer at the kid table. I get to be one of the guys." And it was just so special, such a special night. And then 2 days later, he had his football graduation with all the athletes, and that kind of kicked off our next round of celebrations. Um, and then 2 days later, actually, yeah, 2 days later, he had his big graduation from the University of Oregon. And this is a huge deal. Okay. I did not graduate college. Neither of my parents went to college. My mom didn't even graduate high school. I always had the dream of graduating college, and I went to college for a very, very long time and have a ton of student loans, but I never graduated. And so for me, it was always really important that my kids go to college, especially Kanan, because I knew he wanted to. My daughters wanted to do culinary and other arts things, and I am fully supportive of that as well. But Kanan was a really good student. He wanted to play football. And so I always, from the time he was really little, I was like, you're going to go to college. This is what's going to happen. You're going to be the first one to graduate. And so at the graduation, my brother and sister were there, and my girlfriend Jackie, and we were just sitting there. I was sitting next to my brother, and I just had this really great conversation with him. He's my little brother, but I've always looked up to him my whole life because in a lot of ways, I've felt like I've always been the one struggling, the one doing everything the hard way, kind of just fighting for every scrap that I ever had of success or whatever you want to say. Um, I always had really big dreams, but had a hard time following them through. And my brother was the genius. He really is just so smart. He's so intelligent. And, he was valedictorian of his high school class. He got a full ride scholarship to Colorado College, became a very well respected, very well known attorney, advocate, and humanitarian. So he's a smart guy. Um, he always had his shit together. And a lot of times it felt like I didn't, right? And so I always counted on his hugs, counted on his advice, counted on his encouragement, uh, because he was really the male figure in my children's lives and in my life for the last 17 years since the divorce. He was the biggest influence, definitely for my son. Kanan and him had a very, very close relationship. He influenced Kanan greatly. His big reason why Kanan is who he is. But also my daughters. He had my daughters working in his kitchen for his business, Wolfella, for the last 2 summers, and they got to learn so many amazing cooking skills and catering. Just it was really great. And on this day, Kanan's graduation, Jeremiah sat next to me, and I'd been feeling, there's just so many big events happening that week and also coming up the following week that I was really trying as best I could to process and be in the moment for each of them. So I wasn't just fast forwarding through everything, trying to get to the next thing. But I was also trying to keep it together too. And I remember just sitting there and him and I just talking about life and him talking about his business and me talking about mine and just opening up and sharing. And then there was this moment where they played a song that they always play during football games. And of course, my brother had been to football games, and football with my son at Oregon had been such a huge part of our life for the past 4 years. Just such a special, special, magical part of our life for the 4 years. That was just an unbelievable dream come true. And saying, closing that chapter had been a lot in its own right. And so the song comes on, and all of us in the row, all the family, we all know the song. It all brings back so many memories of us watching football together. And that's when it hit me. I just got emotional, kind of started crying, and Jeremiah reached out, put his arm around me, and put my head on his shoulder, and he just held me, and he just said, "I'm so proud of you." He said, "I'm so proud of you, sis, for all you've done, for all you've accomplished. Kanan wouldn't be here if it hadn't been for all of that sacrifice." And I'm just so proud of you as a mom. So proud of the kids. You've done such a good job. And he said everything that I just ever needed to hear from my brother, you know? Um, him being proud of me was the most important thing because he was the man in my life that I respected the most by far. And we hugged and then we walked down and took our family pictures and I gave him a big hug and I said, thanks so much for coming. We did it. And that was the last time I ever saw my brother. 2 days later was my 50th birthday party. And I've never had a birthday party in my life. I've never thrown one for myself or anything. But 50 was a big one, and 50 I'd been looking forward to for a really long time. So I invited all my friends. So, hey, come out. We're going to have a family style dinner. My brother's going to cook for us. He's an incredible cook. He's going to make all my favorite Italian things, and it'll just be great. It'll be family style dinner with family and friends. And then that night, I was going to get on a plane with my love, and we were going to go to Mexico, my first international trip with a man ever. um, and go to his best friend's wedding, meet all of his friends and family. And so I'm getting ready, I'm curling my hair, and the girls are kind of setting up the flower arrangements uh, for the flowers that would go on the tables for my birthday. And I texted my brother and just kind of gave him the address for the location and confirming some things that he was going to bring. And then my phone rang, and it was my sister, and I figured she just wanted to like ask me what I'm wearing and what she should wear. And but as soon as I answer the phone, I know something is wrong because she's hysterical. She cannot breathe, and I couldn't get it out of her what was wrong. I knew something was horribly wrong, but I was like, "Oh my God, are the kids okay? Is your husband okay? Like, mom and dad, going through the list." And never in a million years would I have anticipated what she said. She said, "Jeremiah's dead." And I just remember thinking, well, wait, what do you mean? No, he's not dead because he's like making dinner. He's making dinner, and I texted him the address, so he'll be over at Jackie's like in an hour and a half. Like, what are you talking about? Of course he's not dead. And she's like, we just got a call from the coroner, and they found him, and he's gone. And I just could not get my head around it. I just kept on thinking, well, what does that mean? That he's like sick, he's at the hospital, that he's going to be late, that I should make my own dinner? Like, just my head just could not get around anything because I was literally in the process of all this celebration and excitement. Uh, yeah. And I went and talked to my sister and I talked to the kids, and it was the most devastating day. Hardest phone calls I've ever had to make in my life. I had to call my dad and tell him his son died. I had to tell Kanan his favorite uncle died. Um, and I called my babe and I was like, hey, this is what happened. He's like, honey, do whatever you need to do. Like, totally gonna support you, whatever you need to do. And my kids were like, Mom, you are going on that trip. There is no way you're not going on that trip. You've been looking forward to it forever. It's still your birthday. I had just talked to my brother at the game about the trip, and he was so excited for me because he knew what that meant to me. And they're like, go. We're not doing anything while you're gone anyway, so just go. And so, literally a few hours after my brother died, after I found out my brother just died, uh, I got on a flight with my love to Mexico. And the whole time, couldn't let anybody know what had just happened because our family was keeping it private. And so I had to show up meeting all friends and family of, for the first time of your man's thing, which is a lot of pressure anyway. And try to be the happy girl. And inside, I'm just going, wow, this is really beautiful. This is really amazing. And oh, yeah, your brother's fucking dead. And oh, yeah, he doesn't exist in this world anymore. And having that thought at the same time, I'm having a birthday dinner or witnessing a wedding or meeting people for the first time. I cannot tell you what that was like. The contradiction of emotion, the whiplash of emotion, the requirement of holding two polar opposite, dramatically polar opposite emotions at the same time when only my love knew that what was going on was the hardest thing I've ever done. It was the biggest mental mind fuck of my life. Every second that I was doing anything that I should be enjoying, I felt guilty. I felt horrible. I felt like I should just be back in the room falling apart. But then I know my brother, who is like the biggest world traveler, the biggest adventurer, he had the least fear of anyone I've ever known in my life. He was 100% live life to the fullest. And he would have been so mad at me if I had done that. He would have said, "Get out, go swim in the ocean, go have a drink, go dance all night at that wedding." Because that's what he would have done. Remember when we were like 18, 19, we went to Mexico and we went out to the bars and him and I freaking danced all night long. It's so much fun. And so I tried to be present. And then 2 weeks later, I moved my son to Dallas, which is an amazing thing. And I don't want anyone to think that I am complaining about that at all. It was a dramatic life thing. This is the farthest he's ever been away. He's off on his life. And him and I are very, very close. It's been hard to have him so far away. But I'm so proud of him, so proud of all of it that he has accomplished. But that has been a loss in itself that I haven't really had time to process. And through all this, my man was my strength, my safety, my support, my peace. But we've had one thing that we always knew was going to be an issue at some point. And that is that he is 10 years behind me in life event stuff. So he has young kids, very young kids. My kids are done. So he has zero time in his world. And now I have a lot of time. My plan had always been to move to Italy when I turned 50 or move to California or travel the world or whatnot. And all those things he's always been very, very supportive of. Um, but last week we came to a decision that the timing is just not right for us. We're just in such different stages of life that it makes time together really hard to schedule in, which I understand and is something I understood from the beginning, but in practice, it's hard when you love someone as much as we love each other. Um, and so I manifested him a year and a half ago. I wrote him into existence. I was so blessed to have such a beautiful, happy, healthy, loving relationship for this past year and a half. It was the happiest I've ever been. And I will be grateful for that forever. I will also learn from this experience And I will trust the universe that he was everything that I needed in the time that I needed. And if our life is meant to be in the future, then it's meant to be. And if it's not, I will trust the universe that everything I've learned from this has made me the best version of myself. I showed up in this relationship in a way I've never shown up in a relationship in my life, in a way I didn't even think I could. It was truly everything that I had worked so hard for was our daily reality. I watched part of the Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift interview, and I thought, oh my God, that was us. We just had so much fun together, just adored each other. So losing that at this time with everything that's gone on is a lot to bear. But still, I have to get up every day and work. I just had my morning show segment on ABC. I have to get up and try and sell these tickets because that's how I feed my family. I have to think of new things to offer in my business. I have to work on my next book. I have to plan my retreats. I have to move on. And some days it's okay. And some days it hits you out of the blue like a ton of bricks. And I've never experienced grief like this before in my life. I've never experienced the lack of emotional control as far as just, I mean, look at me, I'm a mess. I've always been able to control it. I've always been able to suck it up. Always been able to be okay or just fine. And the last week and a half, I haven't been okay. I haven't been just fine, but I will be. I will be. And that's what I wanted to get on and share with you. If you've ever been through a heartbreak or a loss and it feels like it's swallowing you whole, you can get through it. And I'm going to use all my tools and I'm going to come on here and I'm going to talk about it more because talking about it helps. And I'm going to be okay. And so are you. Thank you for listening to this insanely vulnerable, probably very embarrassing show. I love you for listening. Let me know what you think. Until next time, go thrive.